Chosen one, anchor your spirit and listen carefully. That sudden heaviness in your chest, the tension in your jaw, the feeling that something shifted while you were simply trying to get through the day, do not dismiss it. Maybe the last 72 hours have felt unusually strange. Perhaps you received a message that made your heart drop, or you noticed someone's attitude change without explanation. Or maybe you woke up around 3:30 in the morning with a racing heart, sensing that a hidden situation was moving behind the scenes. Some of you have been carrying exhaustion in your bones because you have been trying to defend yourself against something you could not even fully see. But hear this clearly, what was planned against you did not produce the outcome they expected. The darkness has been pressing hard today because a hidden plan has collided with divine justice. The person who thought they could manipulate the situation, damage your name, or quietly position you for loss has encountered the consequence of their own intention. The reversal has already begun. And when I say justice hit her 3 hours ago, I am not telling you to chase revenge or celebrate another person's pain. I am telling you that the balance has shifted. What was sent toward you has been exposed, redirected, and stripped of its power. It all ends. Now the confusion, the fear, the need to explain yourself, and the exhausting cycle of proving your heart. But listen closely. This is not ending because of luck. It is ending because you refused to become what tried to hurt you. Think back to that moment this week when you could have reacted, exposed everything, or sent the message you had already typed. Maybe you deleted it. Maybe you walked away. Maybe you stayed silent while every part of you wanted to fight back. You thought that restraint meant you were losing. You did not know it then, but your silence became evidence. Your self-control became protection. Your refusal to descend into the same behavior became the line that separated your future from their plan. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here alone. If this speaks to your spirit, receive it as a divine appointment, a moment to stop carrying a battle that heaven has already entered. Stay with me, because I am going to reveal the lie that kept you afraid, show you why your restraint mattered, and give you a declaration that closes the door on retaliation and opens the door to restoration. At the end, we will seal this decision with a prayer for peace, clarity, and righteous justice. Do not click away. Your future self is depending on the choice you make in this moment. If you leave while your emotions are still burning, you may reopen the cycle by reacting to the very person whose plan has already collapsed. In this strange space between accusation and vindication, the enemy has been whispering a specific lie. You are powerless unless you expose her. You must fight every rumor. You must make them regret what they did, or justice will never come. Maybe that lie has replayed in your mind since yesterday. Maybe you have revisited the moment when she crossed a boundary, twisted your words, withheld support, or attempted to make you look guilty for something you did not do. Perhaps you have been blaming yourself for not seeing it sooner. But here is the truth, that silence is that voice. Deuteronomy 32:35 says, "Vengeance is mine, and recompense." This is not permission to become cruel. It is a verdict releasing you from the burden of controlling the outcome. God sees what was hidden. God weighs motives. God knows the difference between a mistake and a deliberate attempt to harm. The heaviness you feel is not proof that you lost. It may be the pressure leaving your body after a long season of defense. You are not being pushed backward. You are being separated from the conflict. You are not starting over. You are stepping into the evidence that your integrity survived. In the next 24 hours, one of two things will happen. Either you will wake up tomorrow morning with the same silence and heaviness, or you will wake up to a prophetic word written as if God is speaking directly to your situation. That is what the Inner Sanctum delivers every morning for 365 days. Both paths are available right now, but only one of them is still open. Check the first pinned comment before this video ends. Now release the need to retaliate. Let justice remain in the hands of the one who sees completely. The plan against you has not become your destiny. It has become the testimony that proves you were protected. Before we go deeper, if this message is speaking directly to your season, take a moment to get the ebook connected to this journey through the link provided. Let it strengthen what is already awakening in you, because what happened was not the end of your story. It was the moment the hidden structure began to collapse. Sometimes what looks like loss is actually exposure. Sometimes the door that slammed in your face was not meant to imprison you, but to separate you from an atmosphere that could no longer carry the person you are becoming. The collapse may have felt painful, confusing, and deeply personal, but the Most High was uncovering what had been hidden beneath appearances. He was dismantling false agreements, false loyalties, and false expectations so that your life could be rebuilt upon truth. And now you need to understand this. When an evil plan backfires, it does not always look like public humiliation for the person who planned it. Sometimes justice arrives quietly. Sometimes the consequence is that their influence disappears, their credibility weakens, and the doors they tried to close around you begin opening without them. The Most High does not need to announce every verdict. Some judgments happen in silence, behind doors you will never enter, in conversations you will never hear, and in hearts that finally begin to see what you were carrying all along. A person can continue speaking loudly while losing the ability to move people. They can appear confident while the foundation beneath their influence has already cracked. They can maintain an image while heaven is quietly removing the power that image once held. Do not assume that nothing is happening simply because you cannot see the full process. Roots grow beneath the soil before a tree appears above it. Dawn begins long before the sun is visible. In the same way, restoration often begins in hidden places. A conversation may be changing. A decision may be forming. Someone who once believed the accusation may be remembering the evidence of your character. A door may be preparing to open through a route you never considered. You may not receive a dramatic announcement, but you will begin to notice that resistance no longer has the same weight. What used to drain you will no longer define you. What once seemed immovable will begin shifting, because the hand of God is not limited by the strategies of people. You were not imagining the shift. You were sensing that something had changed because the power of the accusation was breaking. The story they created about you could no longer survive contact with the truth, and this is why you must resist the urge to explain yourself to everyone. When truth begins to defend you, excessive explanation becomes another form of fear. You do not have to chase every rumor. You do not have to answer every false witness. You do not have to stand in the courtroom of people who already decided to misunderstand you. There is a difference between giving a necessary explanation and begging to be believed. One is wisdom, the other is emotional captivity. You have spent enough time trying to make people see what they were determined to deny. You have replayed conversations, rewritten messages in your mind, and imagined the perfect words that would finally cause them to understand your heart. But some people do not lack information. They lack willingness. They are not confused about what happened. They are committed to the version that protects their pride. No amount of clarity can awaken someone who benefits from remaining blind. That is why God is teaching you to let truth stand without constantly placing yourself on trial. Think of Daniel. The men who plotted against him did not attack him because he lacked integrity. They attacked him because they could not find corruption in his conduct. Their only weapon was the law they manipulated, but the trap they built became the evidence of their own motives. Daniel did not spend the night wrestling with his enemies. He remained aligned with God, and the same system designed to destroy him became the place where the power of the Most High was revealed. The lion's den was supposed to be the conclusion of Daniel's story, but it became the setting of his vindication. Notice that Daniel's deliverance did not require him to become like the men who opposed him. He did not manipulate, threaten, or compromise his devotion in order to escape the trap. He continued to pray, continued to trust, and continued to honor God even when obedience became dangerous. This is important for you because pressure often tries to convince you that integrity is too expensive. It tells you to become dishonest because others were dishonest with you, to become cruel because others were cruel, or to abandon your principles because the people without principles seem to be advancing faster. But the den could not digest what God had preserved. The fire could not consume what God had marked. Your loyalty to truth is not wasted simply because it has been tested. That is what is happening in your life. The pressure did not expose your weakness as much as it exposed the intentions of those applying it. But here's where it goes deeper. You cannot receive the next season while remaining emotionally tied to the people who tried to sabotage the last one. You may be physically separated from them, yet still carrying their voices inside your mind. You may have left the situation, but the situation has not yet left your nervous system. Every new opportunity feels suspicious. Every kind person feels like a hidden threat. Every open door makes you wait for the betrayal. You may be sitting in a peaceful room and still feel as though you are bracing for impact. You may receive good news and immediately wonder what it will cost you. You may be praised and instinctively search for the hidden insult. This is what happens when the soul has lived too long in an atmosphere where affection was followed by manipulation and trust was punished. Your body learned to remain alert because alertness once helped you survive. But a survival response that protected you in one season can become a prison in another. You must begin separating discernment from trauma. Discernment will warn you without tormenting you. Trauma will make you question everything, including the good. Discernment brings clarity. Fear demands constant surveillance. Discernment allows you to pause and observe. Fear forces you to react before anything has happened. Discernment speaks with a steady inner knowing. Fear repeats the same alarm until you are exhausted. So ask God to restore your ability to recognize safety without feeling guilty for it. You are allowed to experience peace without searching for the next disaster. You are allowed to meet people who do not require you to perform for love. You are allowed to enter rooms where your honesty is not used as ammunition. You are allowed to rest without believing that rest makes you vulnerable. The fact that something good resembles what once hurt you does not mean it will end the same way. Give yourself permission to move slowly, but do not call every new beginning dangerous simply because the old beginning was mishandled. Wisdom does not close every window because one storm broke the glass. Wisdom repairs the window, strengthens the frame, and learns to recognize the weather. And stay with me, because what comes next is the part many people overlook. The person who harmed you may have lost access to your life. But if you keep replaying their actions every day, they still occupy space in your spirit. Justice may have stopped their hands, but only release can remove their residence from your thoughts. You do not release them because what they did was acceptable. You release them because your future cannot be built around their offense. You cannot use the same wound as the blueprint for every room you enter. Release does not mean you deny the nights you cried, the trust that was broken, or the damage that required time to repair. It means you stop asking the wound to keep proving that it happened. It means you stop touching the scar every morning to see whether it still hurts. Some memories will remain, but they will no longer govern your decisions. The day will come when you remember them without becoming them again. You will be able to speak of what happened without feeling that you are being pulled backward through time. Joseph had every reason to make his brother's betrayal the center of his identity. They had thrown him into a pit, stripped him of his covering, and sold his future for temporary profit. Yet when Joseph finally stood in a position of power, he did not allow the wound to dictate the use of his authority. He remembered what happened, but he was no longer governed by it. That distinction is part of your healing. Forgetting is not the requirement. Freedom is. Joseph's pit became a passageway. His prison became a place where his gift was refined. The same story that looked like abandonment was carrying him toward a position where his wisdom would preserve an entire nation. This does not mean the betrayal was good. It means God was powerful enough to work through what was intended for evil. Joseph could say, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good," not because evil had become harmless, but because evil had failed to have the final word. You can tell the truth about what happened and still refuse to become bitter. You can establish boundaries without becoming cruel. You can forgive without inviting the same person back into the same position. Forgiveness releases vengeance to God. Wisdom controls access. Do not confuse a soft heart with an unguarded life. Even Jesus loved people deeply, yet he did not entrust himself to everyone. Love does not require you to ignore patterns. Compassion does not demand that you keep volunteering for injury. There are people you can pray for from a distance. There are people you can bless without giving them your address, your time, your finances, your secrets, or your decision-making power. A boundary is not a wall against love. It is a gate that reminds you love must enter through wisdom. You can wish someone well and still decide that they are no longer permitted to handle what God placed in your care. The temple had doors. The Garden of Eden had boundaries. Even sacred spaces require discernment about what is allowed to enter. Now, once you understand that, you are ready for another shift. Stop measuring justice by how loudly your enemy suffers. You may be waiting for a dramatic collapse, a public apology, or a visible confession. But what if justice is also the restoration of your name in places where you were misunderstood? What if it is the peace returning to your body? What if it is the courage to dream again? What if the greatest consequence for the person who tried to diminish you is discovering that they could not stop what God ordained for you? Justice may look like sleeping through the night. It may look like no longer checking their page, asking about their life, or imagining what they are saying about you. It may look like receiving an opportunity they once told you was impossible. It may look like becoming emotionally unavailable to the chaos that once consumed your attention. Not every victory will be witnessed by the people who opposed you. Some victories are so intimate that only you and God will understand their value. The Red Sea did not close because Pharaoh apologized. It closed because the people of God moved forward. There are moments when your breakthrough is not connected to receiving an explanation, but to obeying the next instruction. You keep looking backward, asking why they did it, while heaven is asking why you are still standing in the place they tried to bury you. Their plan may have been designed to make you smaller, but your response must be to become more truthful, more disciplined, and more aligned, not more desperate to be seen. Israel could not walk into the promised land while constantly arranging their lives around Egypt. The wilderness was difficult, but it was also a place where an old identity was being removed. You may be in a similar passage. The familiar place is behind you, the promise is ahead of you, and the space between them feels uncertain. Do not mistake the absence of familiar chains for the absence of divine direction. God may not give you the entire map because He is teaching you to trust the next step. In just a moment, we are going to touch the hidden route beneath this entire battle, because the obvious enemy is not always the deepest obstacle. But first, you need to recognize the difference between being chosen and being constantly available. Some of your pain came from giving people access simply because you felt called to help them. You interpreted compassion as obligation. You believed that because God sent you to serve, you had to tolerate every form of disrespect. That season is ending. Being chosen does not mean being accessible to everyone. A physician can be called to heal without allowing every patient to enter their home. A shepherd can care for the flock without sleeping beside every gate. You can be generous without becoming a resource that people consume. You can serve without surrendering your identity. There is a difference between carrying a burden God assigned to you and carrying the consequences of another person's refusal to grow. Even Samuel had to learn that grieving over Saul could not continue forever. God asked him, "How long will you mourn for Saul?" Not because Saul's failure was insignificant, but because Samuel's grief had become attached to something God had already rejected. There comes a point when mourning what was lost becomes resistance to what is being appointed. You cannot keep asking God to revive a connection He is using distance to protect you from. Samuel had an assignment to anoint David, but he was still emotionally looking toward Saul. His tears were sincere, yet they were keeping him from recognizing the next king. This is a warning for you. Sincerity does not automatically mean something should continue. You can sincerely love someone and still accept that the season is over. You can sincerely miss a place and still know you cannot return. You can sincerely wish the past had been different without asking God to rebuild what He has already judged unsafe. This does not mean you become cold. It means you become consecrated. You stop handing sacred things to careless people. You stop explaining your vision to those committed to reducing it. You stop asking someone to validate what God has already confirmed. The anointing on your life will make no sense to people who benefited from your insecurity. They may call your boundaries pride because your availability was profitable to them. Do not let their discomfort make you abandon your obedience. Consecration means setting something apart for a purpose. You are learning to set apart your time, your attention, your body, your creativity, and your peace. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to what God is developing in you. A seed is not being secretive when it remains underground. It is being protected while its roots become strong enough to hold future growth. Do not expose every tender beginning to voices that have only known how to criticize what they did not plant. But let me challenge you with something more difficult. The enemy may have used them, but you cannot give them credit for everything God is correcting in you. Some of what you call betrayal was also revelation. It revealed where you had ignored your own discernment. It revealed where you had ignored your own discernment. It revealed where you feared being alone more than you valued being whole. It revealed where you kept rescuing people who were committed to remaining irresponsible. This is not condemnation. This is maturity. It is possible to acknowledge your part without taking responsibility for another person's wrongdoing. You may have ignored warning signs, but that does not make their deception righteous. You may have stayed too long, but that does not mean you deserve the harm. You may have believed the best in someone, but that does not make you foolish for having a heart. Let the lesson refine you without turning it into a weapon against yourself. God corrects his children to restore them, not to shame them. The wound is not only asking to be healed, it is asking to be understood. If you heal the pain but refuse to learn the lesson, you may recreate the environment that produced it. The Most High is not merely bringing you out of a toxic relationship, workplace, friendship, or family pattern. He is teaching you how to recognize the pattern before you call it destiny again. Pay attention to what you normalized. Did you confuse inconsistency with mystery? Did you call emotional neglect patience? Did you call the absence of respect a test of loyalty? Did you keep waiting for potential while ignoring character? These questions are not meant to condemn you. They are lanterns for the road ahead. The healed version of you will not only ask, "Do I love this person?" You will also ask, "Is this connection safe? Is it reciprocal? Does it honor the peace God is restoring in me?" And here's the part you probably did not expect. The plan against you may have backfired because it forced you to stop betraying yourself. You were so focused on what they did that you almost missed what the situation demanded from you. It demanded that you stop shrinking to preserve peace. It demanded that you stop negotiating with disrespect. It demanded that you stop calling repeated harm a misunderstanding. Their actions became the pressure that pushed you into the truth. There are times when God allows a false structure to shake because you would not leave it while it appeared stable. The betrayal revealed the instability. The disappointment revealed the dependency. The rejection revealed how much of your identity had been placed in human approval. What they intended as an ending became an awakening. Their rejection did not create your value. It forced you to search for the value you had abandoned while trying to remain acceptable to them. Sometimes the person who tried to break you becomes the instrument that reveals where you were already divided. You wanted divine elevation, but you were still seeking human permission. You wanted a new season, but you were protecting old attachments. You wanted justice, but part of you still wanted the approval of the one who wounded you. That is the hidden contradiction. You were asking God to expose them while secretly hoping they would finally recognize your worth. But your worth cannot remain dependent on the awakening of someone committed to misusing you. Let them misunderstand you if they choose. Let them tell an incomplete version of the story. Let them believe they won because you did not retaliate. A seed looks defeated when it disappears into the ground, but burial is not always destruction. Sometimes it is the beginning of a form no enemy can recognize. There is a kind of freedom that arrives when you stop trying to manage another person's interpretation of your life. You do not need to become smaller so their version of you can remain comfortable. You do not need to interrupt every false story with a defense. God knows the difference between what was said about you and what is true about you. As Psalm 37 reminds us, "He shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday." Light does not argue with darkness. It simply appears, and darkness loses the ability to define the room. Your silence is not weakness when it is guided by wisdom. Your distance is not defeat when it is protecting your assignment. Your tears are not evidence that you lost. They are evidence that your heart survived something that was meant to harden it. And your next chapter will not be built through revenge. It will be built through consistency, clean motives, disciplined choices, and the refusal to become the very thing that wounded you. Every day you choose not to return to the old pattern. You are rebuilding your life. Every time you pause before responding, you are proving that chaos no longer owns your voice. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you are repairing trust within your own spirit. The greatest evidence of healing may not be what you say about the person who hurt you, but what you no longer allow them to make you become. So do not rush to prove that justice happened. Walk as though heaven has already handled what you cannot. Let your life become the testimony. Let your peace become the answer. Let your fruit speak longer than their accusation. In time, people will not remember the noise around you. They will recognize the evidence of what grew after the storm. The storm may have broken branches, but it also drove your roots deeper. The rain may have blurred your vision, but it washed away dust that had settled over your discernment. You are not returning to the same ground as the same person. You have learned how quickly appearances can change, how precious peace is, and how necessary it is to obey God even when obedience separates you from familiar people. Let the evidence of your life speak steadily. A healed tree does not chase the storm to explain why it survived. It simply continues to bear fruit. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release the need to control how others see me. I release the desire for revenge, the burden of explanation, and the fear that someone else's plan can cancel my purpose. I receive wisdom, peace, discernment, and courage. I forgive what I am ready to release, and I establish boundaries where wisdom requires them. I will not return to what God delivered me from. I will not carry another person's deception into my destiny. What was meant to diminish me will become a place of growth, and what was hidden will no longer control me. I move forward with clean hands, a clear heart, and a guarded spirit. I trust that justice is in God's hands, and my assignment is still alive. Let that declaration settle beyond your lips and enter the places where fear has been making decisions. Let it reach the part of you that still expects punishment for choosing peace. Let it reach the part of you that feels guilty for becoming unavailable to those who only valued your exhaustion. You are not abandoning love. You are abandoning self-abandonment. You are not becoming selfish. You are learning stewardship. You are not losing your heart. You are placing it back in the hands of God. If you felt the truth of this message, share in the comments. I choose freedom over revenge. Let those words be more than a response. Let them be the line you draw between the season that wounded you and the life you are now courageous enough to enter.